This is James Fox with another video tutorial for Microsoft Excel. In this tutorial, we're going to learn how to create a pivot table. Now, what is a pivot table? Well, a pivot table is a very interactive way for you to summarize vast amounts of data and to analyze numerical data in depth. Now, it also gives you the option to query the data, and you can also summarize the numerical data and create custom calculations. Now let's take a look at the example that I have here. I've created a list of shoes, and in this list I have the brand name of the shoe, the type of shoe, its cost, and its rating. And what I'm going to do is use this information to create a pivot table. So in Excel 2007 and 2010, in order for you to create a pivot table, you click on the Insert tab, and then you click on the drop down arrow underneath Pivot Table and select Pivot Table. Now the Create Pivot Table dialog box appears, and it's going to ask you for two things. The first thing it's going to ask you for is to select a table or range. This is my range, and I'm going to select it by using a keyboard shortcut. So I'm going to select the entire first row of my range. I'm going to press and hold Control, press and hold Shift, and then press the down arrow key on my keyboard, and as you can see, it selected the entire range. The next question it's going to ask you for is to choose where you want the pivot table report to be placed. I'm going to select Existing Worksheet and then click OK. Okay, now here's where the fun begins, because now you get to build your table. Now if you take a look at the right, you're going to see the pivot table field list. Now these fields are the same as those in your headings from your range. Now below that you'll have four different areas, and they are the report filter, column labels, row labels, and values. Now the report filter is what I like to call the master filter, because it's going to filter the entire report based on the selected item in the report filter. The column label area is going to display fields as columns at the top of the report to organize data into categories. Now the row label does the same thing, except that it's going to display the field on the left side of the report to organize data into categories, and the value field is going to display the numerical data. Okay, now let's begin to build the report. Now I'm going to start with the report filter because the report filter is the primary filter for the report. And for this I'm going to choose brand. So I'm going to drag brand down to the report filter. As you can see, I now have the drop down arrow for the report filter for brand, and if I click it, you'll see all the brand names of the shoe available to be selected for the report filter. The next area is going to be column labels, and for that I'm going to choose type. So I'm going to drag type down to column labels, and now you see the type of shoe are the headings for my report. The next is going to be the row labels, and for that I'm going to choose rating. So I'm dragging rating down to the row labels area, and you see the ratings of the shoe are now my row labels. And last is going to be cost. I'm going to drag down cost to the values area because it contains the numerical data that we're looking for. So now my table is complete, and I can choose to filter them accordingly. For example, going back to the report filter, if I click the drop down arrow and I just want to select two shoes, not all of them, I'm going to click the select multiple items box, and I'm going to deselect all, then select Adidas and Nike, and then click OK. Now as you can see, I only have the type of shoe and its rating for Adidas and Nike. If I want to filter it further, I can click on the column labels drop down arrow, and I only want to see Adidas and Nike football and running shoe, and then click OK. And as you can see, it's been filtered even further. So I have the Adidas and Nike football and running shoe and their totals respectively. Now I can filter that even further, and I can click on the row label drop down arrow, and I only want to see the fair rated shoes, and then click OK. And there you have the fair rated shoes for football and for Adidas and Nike. And if you look at your original range, your original data, and if you go through it, you will find this total to be correct. Now that's the power of the pivot table, because you don't have to use the regular sort and filters, which will take you a lot longer to do this, or you do not have to use any fancy formulas to get the information that you're looking for. Now I'm going to deselect all of the fields because there's a couple of more things that I would like for you to see. At the beginning of building your report, if you were to simply select each field, Excel is going to place most of those fields under the row labels, with the numerical data going under the values area. And that's another option that you can use. And if you take a look, you'll see brand is the first row label, and here's the brand name of the shoe. Then you'll see type is the second row label, and type is second. And then you're going to see its rating is the third row label, and you'll see its rating. So now you have three different types of row labels, and it allows the report to be collapsible. In addition to that, you now have the option of placing subtotals into the report. And to do that, you're going to click on the Design tab. Over on the left, you'll see Subtotals. Click the drop-down arrow, and I like to use subtotals at the bottom of the group. So for Adidas football, I have a subtotal of 230, and for Nike football, I have a subtotal of 51. And that is another option that you can use if you want to use more than one row label. And you can also arrange them accordingly. They do not have to be in any specific order. For example, I'm going to move rating up one, so rating is going to be my second row label and type is going to be third. And the table adjusts accordingly because now I have brand at the top row label, then I've got fair as a second row label, which is the rating, and now I have type, which is the third row label, and then I have my subtotal for this area. Now a much faster and easier way to filter the report is to use slicers. Now to insert a slicer, you click on the Options tab, and in the Sort and Filter section, click on Insert Slicer. Now you're going to see the Insert Slicers dialog box appear, and these fields should look very familiar because they're the same fields in the pivot table field list. Now I'm going to select all four fields and then click OK. Now you're going to see these slicers appear, and you can filter the report accordingly. Now the report is already filtered from the pivot table field list earlier, so I'm going to deselect everything and just start over. Okay, now if I wanted to see only baseball shoes, I'm going to click on baseball, and the report is now filtered for baseball shoes only. Now there are 5 brands of baseball shoes selected. If I want to narrow that down, I can simply select a couple of them, maybe Adidas and K-Swiss. So now my report has Adidas and K-Swiss in it. And what if I wanted to only see the fair rated baseball shoes for Adidas and K-Swiss? I will go over to my rating slicer, select fair, and my report is filtered even further. So those are the things that you can play around with in the pivot table option, and now you see how powerful the pivot table can be. And that's how you make a pivot table in Microsoft Excel 2010. If you have any questions, please email me. Once again, my name is James Fox, and I'll see you next time.